My name's Naomi Isaacson. I am CEO and in-house counsel for a 501c3 organization called the Dr. R.C. Samantaroy Institute of Science and Technology. And we usually go by SIST for short because the entire name is kind of a mouthful. One of the properties that we own is what was, until yesterday, a Ponderosa restaurant. A very, the largest restaurant in Shawano. Kind of, if for those of you not familiar with the Ponderosa franchise, it's like a family restaurant.
Yes, could you please tell us the story?
Yes. And what happened to you personally, Naomi? Oh my gosh.
Well, what happened was, we anyway had leased this building out to a long-term tenant who has been in the building for years and years.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the last couple years, we've had a very difficult time collecting rent. It's been one story after the next for why he can't pay rent. And so now the current status is he owes us over $150,000 in rent.
Oh my goodness.
And essentially has operated the restaurant there rent-free for 2 years. And, we had been in discussions with him many times. We are very considerate, conscious people and wanted to resolve things amicably. But,
right.
At a certain point you got to draw the line.
Right.
And so in May we gave him a notice and said, you've got, almost a month to bring your rent current, otherwise your lease is terminated and you need to vacate the premises by June 1st.
Well, that's just business practice almost anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, even though we had the agreement, he didn't vacate the premises. And, since then we've been trying to resolve things with him, and we thought we had things resolved. And then on Sunday night, in the middle of the night, about 11 o'clock, this past Sunday night, 2 days ago.
It was on the 24th of August.
Correct. About 11 o'clock, I got a call from a citizen who was driving through town who saw that there was cars parked all around this restaurant in the dark and that things were being hauled out of the store. So I went over to the store to see, what was happening because, it's a building we own and, that we have a security interest in and wanted to know what was occurring on the property in the middle of the night in the dark.
Absolutely.
So I went to the property, drove up, and a whole bunch of employees came running out of the store screaming, taking my picture. I hadn't even gotten out of the car, taking my picture. I'm like, what is their problem?
Yeah.
They went running back in the store, called the police, and I had no sooner. The police were there within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I didn't even have time to get out of my car to go, up to the door to ask them, what their problem was. Before the police were there, and I stepped out of the car and, stood beside my car. The police came up and I said, I'm not sure what's going on here, but stuff is being hauled off the property. This is our property. They don't have a right to be taking what's being taken, and I guess, I don't know what's going on, but, that's why I'm here, and maybe you can help.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, who are you? And, I told him who I was, and he said, well, or I told him that I was, the owner of what I told him was I was the owner of the company, and, this was our property, these were tenants, and I had received this phone call that this was occurring, and I can't come to check it out, and could he be of some assistance?
Right.
And so he went inside for a few minutes, came back out, and he said, you have no right to be here. You need to leave the premises immediately.
You have no right to be there?
That's what he told me. And I said, I own this property. What do you mean I have no right to be here? And he said, well, you need to give a 24-hour notice to be here. And I said, I certainly do not need to give a 24-hour notice to be in the parking lot of a building that I own. And he said, oh, yes, you do, and if, you need to leave the premises immediately, you're loitering.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, loitering? I just got here. I haven't said a word to anybody. And I just came to see what's happening. And he said, well, you need to leave. And I said, well, I can get the lease for you. And he said, they have a lease, and you have no right to be here. And I said, no, the lease does not say I have no right to be here.
Right.
And he said, well, you need to give a 24-hour notice to be on the property.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, well, I certainly don't need to give a 24-hour notice to be in the parking lot. And I may need to give a 24-hour notice to be in the building if their lease had not been terminated. But their lease was terminated in May.
Yeah.
And I'm not going in the building, didn't ask to go in the building, and don't have no intention of going in the building. I'm just here to see what's happening.
Now, the termination of the lease, this was all handled legally?
Correct. Our attorney sent them a letter, according to the terms of the lease, which said, you owe this much in rent. They also had really allowed the building to deteriorate.
Oh,
it was a triple net lease. They were supposed to be maintaining the exterior. We had been talking to this man for 3 years about getting the brick taken care of, because we could see that the brick was really deteriorating and he wasn't maintaining. There was some kind of a water problem from the roof or something, which was causing the brick to deteriorate.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I told the officer, I said, he said, well, where's your lease? And I said, well, the lease is at our office. I can call someone, have them bring it down here. They could fax it to the police station. We could do whatever. But I definitely don't need a 24-hour notice to be in the parking lot. And he said, well, the lease is irrelevant, and, you're loitering.
Oh, my gosh.
And so then at that point, him and another officer, he said, and you're under arrest. And so him and another officer each grabbed one of my arms, twisted them behind my back.
Oh, my God.
And when I got out of the car, I had my house key on my finger. And I said, well, just a second, let me get the key off my finger. Well, then they really started to twist on my arms. I said, well, can you just let go of my arms for a second so I can, get the key off my finger, because they were twisting my arms and the key was digging into my hand.
Oh, boy. Oh.
And so then the Officer Atkinson, started to yank on the key, and I thought he was going to break my finger.
Oh, gee.
And fortunately, the key came off my finger without my finger breaking. So then Officer Atkinson, who is the wrestling coach in Shawano, I guess decided that I needed to be manhandled.
Yeah, big manhandling a lady. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
It was an experience I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not, I guess Cal see me. I mean, maybe, Cal could...
Well, I mean, Naomi's like 5'8", 120 pounds. I mean, she's just very frail. Young, attractive lady, and, they grabbed her hands, put them behind the back, and handcuffed her and threw her into a squad car and took her down to the police station. Then when they got down there, you can tell what they did to you down there.
Well, then they, had to proceed, with booking, and, I'm an attorney. I've never been on that side of the line before, shall we call it.
Right.
34 years old, I was in total shock.
Well,
and I was arrested for being on my own property.
Oh, my God.
And, doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. Essentially it was false arrest.
Absolutely.
And, then to be manhandled on top of it, it strained both of my shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Strained both of my wrists. They not only put my hands behind my back, they crossed my hands.
Oh, gee.
And put the handcuffs on. I have small wrists.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge person.